could have told us about this on Raw. It would have made a lot more sense, wouldn't it, for them to have told us on Raw, we're going to make a special announcement on Friday. They could have announced something on NXT and said, Friday, we're going to make a special announcement. But there was no words whatsoever. And then out the blue, we just got like news yesterday that there was going to be a special announcement today. So this is where we are. It's out the blue. It's unexpected. I do think as a result, it is connected to the Saudi WrestleMania. I think the general consensus is that it's going to be connected. No one seems to have confirmation of that, though. We know it's in Las Vegas, and we know there's quite a few stars that are going to be in attendance. So we're going to have Triple H, we're going to have Undertaker, we're going to have Bianca, we're going to have Liv, we're going to have Shawn Michaels. There's quite a list of stars that are going to help make this announcement. So it certainly feels like it is big, and it certainly feels like it's going to involve a lot of people, of course. And we've got a lot of current stars and legends that are going to be involved. It all seems to be pointing to Saudi WrestleMania. So I was kind of unsure whether to do this stream or not. I didn't know whether it was like worth doing. But I sort of thought, like, well, I think you guys would like a stream. I think you guys would like to get your teeth into kind of talking about what do we think this is, and kind of checking around a few thoughts. We did a poll, and I can tell you that 86% of you think that it is to do with the Saudi WrestleMania announcement. That does mean that 14% of you don't think it's that. So I would be very interested to know from those 14% what they're thinking it could be. I'm certainly not saying those people are wrong. We don't know what it is. So it would be interesting to know what that 14% are thinking. In regards to the announcement, if it is Saudi, Triple H said in a tweet, he said, we said we were going to change the game. This is just the beginning, right? I don't know how this gets presented as game-changing. I mean, it's certainly different. We've never been outside North America for WrestleMania. But how is taking WrestleMania to Saudi Arabia for money game-changing? I mean, you could make an argument it's game-changing in a bad respect. I'm very interested to know how they're going to spin it that way. I'm very interested to know how they're going to make it out that it's game-changing. I mean, I suppose they could go with the angle that this is the first international, like, away from North America WrestleMania, so anything's possible. WrestleMania is global. We're changing the game. I wonder if they go with that angle, right? I wonder if that's the angle that they go with. The fact that they are taking WrestleMania outside of North America, if it is that. But yeah, I thought that his tweet was quite interesting when he says that we said we were going to change the game and this is just the beginning. He's really trying to present this as being game-changing, but I don't know. I think you know and I know they would not be doing this if it wasn't for the money. It's the real reason why they're doing it is the money. So it's kind of it's game-changing for them in that regard. But you know what these companies are like. So, yeah, how are they going to spin this as game-changing? There's a way of doing it, as we said, but it'll be interesting to see what they actually say on that regards. So, yes, there's 1,000 people waiting. It starts in about 55 minutes. There's no other kind of information to bring you than that. And with that being said, let's get into the chat. Robert said, Daze, the thing for me is Saudi is willing to pay big money for WrestleMania, then surely they deserve it. It's just that London clearly doesn't want to spend the big money, which is unfortunate. I don't see that viewpoint, to be honest with you. Saudi Arabia have got a lot of money because of oil, and they are now using that money because they know the oil is going to run out. They're now using that money to try and boost tourism. They want tourists. They want people to come to their country because the oil money is going to run out. And so that's why you're seeing them kind of doing a lot of stuff with boxing. And that's why you're seeing them doing a lot of stuff with, building crazy cities and, trying to find these different ways of getting tourists to come and visit them. So I don't know. I mean, does that equate that if you've got a lot of money, you deserve it? That makes you deserving? I mean, does the UK not deserve it? Is it only money that makes the world go round? I mean, I would make the argument, the counter argument, that WWE have been coming to the UK since 1989. The UK has long been regarded as the second or third biggest market for WWE. The first being America, second being Canada, third being the United Kingdom. And actually, if you look at how often they come over to Europe and how often they do shows in the UK and the fact they've done that regular year after year after year, I mean, it's quite clear that Saudi has sort of jumped that queue, if you will. They've kind of come from nowhere. I mean, the history of WWE going to Saudi is not very existent before this deal was struck. And so, they've come and jumped that queue. And of course, they've jumped that queue because of money. So I don't know. I think it's a tricky argument, that one, that they deserve. Deserve is an interesting word to use. Do they deserve it because they're rich? Do rich people deserve things more than poor people? Does Saudi deserve WrestleMania more than other countries because of money? Because that's all it is. There's no rich history there. There's a richer history with the UK, but the UK finds itself now in, perhaps because of Vegas wanting to not lose its position as like a really global leading destination for tourism to Saudi, and then Saudi wanting to establish itself as a leading global destination I wonder if London has just found itself at the worst time in a bit of a bidding war. I mean, maybe now it's starting to make a bit more sense as to why London hasn't got it, because New Orleans had it and then lost it because Vegas came in with a big offer. So it was it was announced we were going to New Orleans, and then boom, it got changed next year to Vegas because Vegas were like, hang on, we need tourism here. If we don't have tourism, we're dead. I mean, what else has Vegas got? Vegas is tourism. They need those slot machines ringing all day long, don't they? They need those poker and roulette tables to be full of people all the time. So they need people. They need tourism. So they have spent big on getting WrestleMania again. So London going up against Vegas, I could imagine, would be a bit tricky for London. Because London is not so reliant on tourism. Tourism is a big part of London's economy, but it's not the only part. Financial services is the biggest sector. So London is very different from Vegas. If London's going to get WrestleMania, it's just going to be a nice little thing for London. Whereas I think with Vegas, it's a lot more essential. And now you've got Saudi Arabia coming in, spending, well, God only knows. I mean, honestly, the number, I haven't seen it, but I can imagine it's easily the biggest of all time. And there ain't no way London's competing with the flipping Saudi Arabian fund, right? So I wonder now if we're starting to get a much better idea as to why London has not got it. I wonder if we're starting now to see that actually London, in a normal time, like go back even just a few years ago, if it was battling Tampa and it was battling like places like that, perhaps it stood a better chance. But now if it's getting caught between Vegas and Saudi Arabia, I wonder now if we're starting to see why London didn't really make much progress. So it's an interesting one, because now I think you're going to see these places that really rely on tourism, like really going big for these kinds of shows. And you need to get prepared. If this is WrestleMania in Saudi Arabia, I don't know that this is a one-off. I don't know that's it, one and done. I mean, they need tourists and they need them on a regular basis. If they can bring any sort of show to Saudi Arabia that is going to drive footfall, they've got the money to do it. So this might just be the start. I mean, there's a few reasons why people are concerned about WrestleMania going to Saudi Arabia. And I'm not sure if everyone's really kind of thought about what those reasons are. I think the big one online that everyone talks about is the human rights issues. That one is obviously a black mark against Saudi Arabia, but we would be hypocrites to say that that's a problem because we've been watching all the Saudi shows since, 2018? So, 7 years we've been watching the Saudi shows. So to kind of cry about that now is a bit hypocritical. So that's not one that really features into my thought process. The first one that features into my thought process are the American fans and the Canadian fans having to now go all the way to Saudi Arabia. The biggest market for WWE by far is America. And as I said, I think the American fans getting on a plane going to London is not ideal. But I also think that the American fans kind of recognize that Europe is a very passionate fan base. I think obviously they've seen the French crowds. We know that Germany was great. We've done Netherlands. We know that we've been going to the UK since '89. I think there's been a lot of talk about London getting a WrestleMania, and maybe I'm misreading the room, but I don't think it would have been badly received if London had won WrestleMania and got the rights to WrestleMania in 2027. I don't think that one would have been as badly received, and not as far for Americans and Canadians to have to travel, right? So not as bad as going all the way to Saudi, but Saudi is obviously a lot further. That's going to be a lot more money. Financially, it's going to be more draining. And so, I sort of feel like that's my first thought is, their biggest market is now not being shut out, but it's more challenging for them. And then, the point was made, wasn't it, about like the indie promotions and like, are they going to be able to travel over and how much they rely, and they do rely on the money they make from WrestleMania week. And I thought that was an excellent point as well. I thought that was an excellent point. How is Progress going to make its way over? How is Beyond and GCW and all these indie wrestlers, how are they going to afford going all the way over to WrestleMania in Saudi Arabia? I mean, part of it is, you have to say, well, was this just going to happen at some point? Was we just delaying the inevitable? If WWE is going to be a global brand, then WrestleMania is going to be outside of North America at some point. So these are problems and challenges that WWE was going to have to encounter at some point. And I don't know that they wanted to encounter it so soon. Word on the street is WWE wanted Saudi to have WrestleMania in 2028, not 2027. And I can understand that because I think you would want to really continue to grow your fan base there and maybe try and work out some of the logistics. But instead, Saudi said, no, we want it in 2027. It's 300 years since the Saudi state was formed. And so we want to have WrestleMania. So, I mean, it's money. Isn't it? At the end of the day, it's money. Obviously, you've got... I don't think we need to worry so much about wrestler safety. I mean, we've been going over there a long time. Apart from like that one incident with the airplane not being allowed to take off, right? Which was years and years ago. And actually, I did see Cultaholic did a video on that, which I'd be interested in watching. Because actually, I know the majority of it, but I bet there's bits of information that I'm not aware of. But I bet that's an interesting watch. But... I mean, I'm not too worried in that regards. I think there is a fan base there. I think it could be a smaller WrestleMania, which is a little disappointing. It's not a massive problem, but I do like WrestleMania being in stadiums. One thing that's guaranteed, though, is they will make it a big show, regardless of where it is. It'll be full-on spectacular, but I don't know. Part of me just thinks that a lot of these Saudi shows, they've already tried to make quite spectacular. I think we've already seen Saudi try and make these shows feel big with big stages and lots of pyro. And it's hard to put a finger onto why, but they feel very hollow. They feel very hollow, and I'm a bit worried that WrestleMania is going to feel a bit hollow as well. The only thing I will say in that regard is WrestleMania has a big build. And I think one of the problems for the Saudi shows is they're just sort of treated like another B show. The build starts like a month before. We don't have like a long build. We don't have a crown jewel season. We don't have a super showdown season. We just have a normal build. And so what that means is that by the time we actually get to the show, there hasn't really been much build. And so then all of a sudden we're in this kind of stadium, arena, dome thing, and there's lots of pyro, there's a big stage, the matches feel a bit undercooked. It doesn't really feel like the matches or the show warrant the stage that it's being put on, and maybe that is what makes it feel hollow. You know, with WrestleMania, we've been building that for months and months. WrestleMania season starts in January. The Rumble leads to Mania. Elimination Chamber leads to Mania. So, you know, you bring people out on that stage, and with the whole week of other things that happens, like the Hall of Fame, like NXT, you know, like the press conferences, that all makes WrestleMania feel bigger. And so it warrants the stage that it gets. Whereas with the Saudi shows, I don't think it does. I think a lot of those Saudi shows could have been in much smaller venues with much smaller stages and probably would have felt less hollow, less fake and fabricated. I'm a bit worried WrestleMania in 2027 is going to feel that way, but I don't know. It's an interesting conversation that maybe that's one that we can revisit. Maxime said, what if they announce a 3-night event? Well, I don't expect that, just because honestly it's so hard to fit everything in anyway. I mean, on a Saturday you've got night 1, on a Sunday you got night 2. So if you was going to do a third day, you'd have to go Friday or Monday, and of course that's SmackDown and it's Raw, so you'd have to move one of those shows, which isn't ideal, because you're kind of then getting people out of the habit of tuning in on a Monday for Raw or tuning in on a Friday for SmackDown. So to kind of do a bit of an exception of a move, I don't, it's hard to see how they're going to do that. I've not heard any rumors of that. I tell you what there are rumors of, though, and that is 2 WrestleManias in a year. So if Triple H has got a game-changing announcement, maybe it is in 2027 we're doing 2 WrestleManias. One will be in Saudi Arabia, the other is going to be in North America somewhere later in the year. Or you do the April one in North America, and this Saudi WrestleMania is going to be September time or something like that. I mean, we don't know the date of this WrestleMania. Right now, as I'm sat here right now talking to you, I'm under the impression of 1 WrestleMania in 2027. I am not aware there's going to be 2, but there has been talk for so long. I can honestly, I mean, I wouldn't find it. There's no way I would be able to find it. But we have had this conversation about 7 years ago on this channel, right? We spoke years ago about 2 WrestleManias. Because they were in a year, because there was talk about it all the way back then. This is not a new idea. This is not something that has just popped up out of nowhere. We've actually spoke about it years and years and years ago. Before the pandemic, we spoke about it. I remember hearing about the idea of there being 2 WrestleManias. Back then, though, I don't think it was so much to do with Saudi. It might have been. It might have been when Saudi first got the contract. But I seem to remember it being more to do with London. For the longest time, WWE told us that SummerSlam 92 in London did not work. And that might be a surprise to a lot of people, but Triple H has actually spoken out about SummerSlam 92 and said it was a failure. I mean, in regards to the money they made from the tickets was good, but actually the viewership, because of the time difference, was not a success, and the buy rate was not a success. And so I don't think that show was seen as being a big success. It was seen as having some wins, the ticket sales, the attendance, but actually the buy rate was not seen as a success. And so Triple H has actually spoken in the past about how that, you know, people always talk about SummerSlam 92 being this great success. And in his mind, and I'm sure in Vince's mind as well, because Triple H wouldn't say it otherwise, I don't think it was seen internally as a big success. So the idea of London getting another massive show was kind of hard to envisage. I mean, to be honest with you, it was only when AEW started making moves in the UK and, you know, AEW, like, we're looking at Europe and everything, that's when we got Clash at the Castle in Wales. I really don't think, if AEW hadn't come along, I don't think you get Clash at the Castle. And I'm not sure you get Money in the Bank. I think that AEW starting to make noise about running shows in the UK and then eventually doing Wembley Stadium, I think that prompted WWE to rethink their strategy and actually then run shows internationally. And now I think with TKO taking over as well, now you're seeing WWE being a lot more global and actually looking for opportunity. So, but I don't know, man. I think there's big risk with all of this stuff. I think there's big risk with it. And the reason why I think that is because I think that you are leaving families behind with ticket prices. You're now leaving America behind by taking WrestleMania to Saudi Arabia. And, you know, I know they're trying to explore the fan base outside of America. I mean, the potential is huge. I mean, there's a lot more people outside of America than there is in America by quite a distance, right? By about 7 billion. So, like, you can understand them trying to tap into that and trying to grow internationally. But I don't know, man. I'm just a bit worried that you're kind of moving at a speed that is going to be leaving people behind. So, yeah. Again, ticket prices, there's another conversation we can have. I feel like there's quite a few conversations we can have. Right, Edward said 14 days until I say goodbye and turn 21. Love you, says Edwards. Edward, shout out to you, buds. 21 days till you... 14 days till you turn 21. Edward, shout out to you. James said, Daze, could we have 2 WrestleManias, one in London, one in Saudi? I wouldn't think they would do 2 international ones. I think that if they do 2, then Saudi will be one. I think America would be another one. I think that, again, their largest fan base is in America by a distance. And I think that if you're going to do 2, you do one in Saudi, you do one in America. Saudi has got the money to just keep having WrestleMania, to be honest. I mean, this could be a game-changing announcement where they announce that Saudi hasn't just got 2027. They might have 2028, 2029, 30, and 31 as well. I mean, it could be some bonkers like that. And I think if that's what's happening, then we need 2. I would be on board with us having 2. Because, I don't know about you, I have no interest in 5 years worth of WrestleManias going to Saudi Arabia. But make no mistake about it, they've got the money to do that. I mean, money is no issue when it comes to Saudi Arabia. They you know, however much they've just paid for this show, no problem. They can do it again and again and again and again. So, I mean, whether they've done that or not, I don't know. They might want to see how this works first. They might want to see how big of a success, because they're doing it to boost their tourism. Their mindset is, if we can get people to just visit Saudi Arabia once, they'll come back. We've got amazing shops, amazing, tourist attractions, amazing theme parks. It's clean and, if people come, they'll love it and they'll want to come back. And so they're just doing whatever they can to get people to visit their country, which I'm not down on. I get it. The oil will run out, and they know that. And so they're trying to boost tourism. And so they could just buy WrestleMania year after year after year after year after year. And if they do that, and they have the money to do that, then, a second WrestleMania, I think, is going to be needed. How that works, I don't know. I mean, would you have WrestleMania 43 and 44 in the same year? Or is it WrestleMania 43 America, WrestleMania 43 Saudi, and then the next year WrestleMania 44 America, WrestleMania 44 London, or whatever? You get my point, right? I don't know how you work with the numbering. I'd be a lot more in just keeping one number each year. I don't think I'd be really down for like 44 and 45 being in the same year, 46 and 47. I think I'd be more into like 44 America, 44 Saudi. I think I'd like that more. And kind of making it like WrestleMania A and WrestleMania B, kind of a thing, you know? But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm expecting this to be announced that it's just one. I'm not expecting it to go any further than that. I am interested in the game-changing part of the conversation that Triple H put in his tweet. And obviously we can expand mentally on what that might mean. And 2 WrestleManias in a year would be that. But equally, them taking WrestleMania outside of America is them doing that. So, I don't know. I mean, if it is, it might not even be that. If it is WrestleMania in Saudi, how far are they going? Is it a one-off? Hard to see it being a one-off, to be honest with you. Hard to see that. I think Saudi have wanted WrestleMania from the start. I think WWE have done everything they can to really not do that. I think they know that taking WrestleMania, you know, a brand in its own right. I mean, WrestleMania is kind of its own thing in many ways. You've got WWE as a brand, and like WrestleMania is kind of a brand, its own brand. It's the biggest wrestling show of the year in the world, and it's the showcase of the immortals. And there's people that only tune in to WrestleMania. Like, it is the crown jewel. It is like the biggest show in the wrestling world. And I think WWE have been a bit worried about giving it to Saudi. They could have done it years ago. They haven't. They've given them Crown Jewel, and they've given them Greatest Royal Rumble, and they've given them Super Showdown, you know? They could have given them, like, Rumble. They could have given them WrestleMania. And when they did give them the Rumble, it was the second Rumble. It was the Greatest Royal Rumble. It wasn't even that year's Rumble. That was some people might not know, but that was a second Royal Rumble that year. And the winner was Braun, and he got a belt that we never saw again, right? So WWE, to me, have been, sorry, Saudi, fobbing you off, right? They've been taking your money and giving you shows that really don't matter, right? They've been just like, well, let's give them King and Queen of the Ring. Let's give them Crown Jewel. What's Crown Jewel? Don't know. Let's give them Super Showdown. What's that? Don't know. Just made it up. They have not been giving them Survivor Series, SummerSlam, Royal Rumble, WrestleMania. So in my mind, they've been protecting those because those are really important brands. And I think we got to the point where it's like, we can't keep saying no. And actually, TKO are in charge now. A load of money is on the table. And I think WWE have gone, go on then. Okay. Yeah. Can we do it in 2028? No. 2027. Okay. Okay. It'll be fine. We'll tell them it's game changing. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. We'll get Triple H to go out with some superstars, and we'll say it's game changing, and everyone will just buy it. So, right, Simon, Cowie, shout out to you, my friends. Simon said, the only way that I see WrestleMania coming to the UK is if, an actual bed, what's this? Between Scotland, a bid, between Scotland, England, Wales, Northern Ireland, and Ireland. Well, I think London has got the money. I don't think London's broke. I think London is, one of the richest cities. I think that it can afford it. I think London's problem is it's obviously got a lot of other priorities. As we said, with Vegas, that's all about tourism. with Saudi Arabia, that's all about tourism. London, not as much about tourism. I mean, big tourism, a big part, make no mistake about it. If you go to London, tourists everywhere, right? As there should be. It's one of the world's great cities. But it is not as reliant on it as other places. So London has to, make decisions how it wants to spend its money. And if a chunk of it is going to go to WrestleMania, securing WrestleMania, yeah, that's where it becomes a bit tricky. So I think it was hard to understand why London wasn't going in for WrestleMania harder. There's been radio silence, right? And the fact that next year is Vegas, the year after is Saudi Arabia, means that London hasn't made much progress. It's going to get it in 2028 at the earliest, right? So I think that London has just found itself being priced out at the moment. So maybe you're right. Maybe there would have to be like a bid from like lots of different places. Perhaps there would need to be sport. How that would work, I'm not too sure. I mean, if Wales was to put some money in and Scotland was to put some money in, they would obviously want something for that. I don't know what that would be. I don't know how that would work. Maybe Raw, SmackDown would take place in those places. And London gets WrestleMania, but the Raw and the SmackDown's in Wales and Scotland or something. So, I don't know. I mean, look, there's going to be a way of it happening. That door is not closed. But I think while Saudi money is around, I think the UK's out. Honestly, I think the UK's out. I don't even know if like Wales and Ireland and all of those getting involved would even make it work, or even how you would divvy up who gets what to sort of repay it back, As we said, London's not broke, but it's just got other priorities. It's just, it doesn't need to spend crazy money on bringing WrestleMania. I mean, it doesn't need that. Whereas I think Saudi is a bit more in need of just whatever it can to get tourists. But the other thing as well is tourists will come to London anyway. I mean, you got Buckingham Palace, you got Big Ben, you got the Tower of London. I mean, it's one of the world's most iconic cities, whereas I think Saudi struggles, doesn't it? I don't know why you would go to Saudi to look at the oil fields. What have they got? So this is where they probably struggle a little bit more. There's probably loads of great tourist attractions that I just don't know, to be honest. But this is where I think it becomes a bit more of a challenge for them. So, yeah, you could be right. You could be correct. It could be that there is going to need to be some support for London if the UK is going to get it. It's frustrating, though, because I think if the UK wanted it, they could get it. You've just got to prioritise it. And I think the truth is it's just not a priority. If France made it a priority, maybe France could get it. If Paris and the French government put money in and they want WrestleMania, I can't say France wouldn't get it. I mean, at the end of the day, if you're going to bid the money, you're in with a chance of getting the show. And I think it's that simple. I don't think it's any more complicated than that. So, yeah, if the UK is going to get it, if London's going to get it, maybe there is going to be some support needed. So, Simon, thank you. Really appreciate the support, my friend, and a very interesting comment, which I think is probably correct. Irish Sam said, Daze, you are the real OTC. Irish Sam, thank you, my friends. Appreciate the kind words. We've got, how long we got? 25 minutes until whatever this announcement's going to be. But as we said, we think we know what this announcement's going to be. I will genuinely be surprised and shocked if it is anything other than what we have discussed. So if it's anything other than what we've spoken about, I will genuinely be surprised and shocked. I don't know how long this thing's going to be. I'm actually expecting it to be quite short. I don't think it's going to be a long... Because I don't know really what they're going to be able to talk about. So I'm not thinking this is going to be a long, like maybe half an hour, something like that, kind of a deal. But yeah, I'm very, very interested, of course, to see what it is that they've got to say. La 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 la. Let's do that. Let's do that. Let's do that. Lovely. Okay, Wrestling Andy said, Daze, what is night one is Saudi and night two if somewhere else. Night one in... Oh, well, that'd be horrible. That'd be horrible because then you're buying a ticket to just go to one night. Not a fan of that. I mean, if you go to Saudi, you'd be watching night 1, but I mean, normally the bigger thing is on night 2. So, I mean, if you do night 1 in America and then night 2 in Saudi, then, I mean, it ticks the box for allowing American fans to go, but American fans are getting, you could argue, half the experience. All of a sudden, then it really matters who's on what night. I think in regards to right now, it doesn't matter so much who's on what night, because I'm pretty sure if you buy a Mania ticket, you're probably picking up the 2-day combo. I don't know that you're just going for the Saturday. And if you was going to go for just one day, you'd probably just go for the Sunday, because the biggest match, the main event of night 2, is normally the biggest thing. So, I mean, if you do day 1, and plus then you've got to buy 2 stadiums, WWE, you've got to pay for 2 stadiums. Can't see them doing that. Can't see it. I can't see it. I think it makes more sense if you do the 2 WrestleManias, because you're paying for 2 stadiums, but at least that way you're getting 2 completely separate shows, and the fans are getting the full experience, you know, rather than like giving them half the experience and then another place half the experience. I mean, the thing with money, though, you know, just going back to that stadium comment, I mean, maybe that's not a factor, because maybe Saudi Arabia just pay. Do you know what I mean? I mean, Saudi have got so much money, perhaps they just flip in pay. Perhaps they just go, do you know what, don't worry about that. Don't worry about the fact that you have to have a stadium with us and a stadium over there. We'll just cover that. And, you know, it could be that that's the way they approach it. So that might not even be a factor. But in my mind, you'd be getting half a show, and WWE would have to be, like, you know, sorting out 2 lots of stadiums and 2 different teams and 2 different lots of broadcasting. And, I mean, everything just gets doubled, doesn't it? WWE raising ticket prices. That's going to be the special announcement. Oh, they've already been doing that, but I don't think they need to announce that. We're aware. They've not managed to sneak that past us. We're fully aware that they've been up to those tricks. So, yeah, no announcement required for that one. I think the difference is biggest sport is football, and if they had a choice, they would rather spend it on hosting a World Cup or something over wrestling, which isn't as big over here, says Liam. Yes, I agree with that. I mean, actually, Sadiq Khan, I believe is his name, is the London mayor. He actually said that London wants to be like a sports capital of the world, right? Lol. You can't even get WrestleMania, so lol. But he said, we want to be a sports capital of the world. And we are interested in the Super Bowl. We are interested in, I think there was loads of things that he mentioned, right? And WrestleMania was one of them. Now, obviously, as wrestling fans, we jumped on the WrestleMania comment. That was the comment that we went, ooh. But he did mention a lot of other things as well. So even when London said it was interested in WrestleMania, it was still grouped in with a load of other things, right? It was still grouped in with a load of other stuff that London was like interested in hosting. I mean, to be honest, I'm not saying he only said it because he was trying to get re-elected. I think he did actually mean that he did want to bring these things. But it doesn't shock me that he speaks with WWE, finds out the price and goes, yeah, no, there might be some other stuff we'd rather do. There might be some other things we'd rather do instead, you know? And yeah, I think that could absolutely have happened. So I wouldn't get too down about the London thing. I think the UK gets WrestleMania eventually. Whether it's in our lifetime, I don't know. I would hope so. I think that the UK and Europe is a big, big market for WWE. I really think at some point Europe gets a WrestleMania. Maybe it's helped, and maybe that process is easier if there are 2 WrestleManias a year. But I don't know, you do run the risk of watering it down then, of course. I mean, WrestleMania is such a powerful brand. I mean, could you do 2 WrestleManias a year? Could you do 2 Super Bowls a year? You know, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if you could and also keep it at the level that it's at. I mean, WrestleMania is special. I mean, Christmas is special. We do it once a year. Would it be as special if we did it twice? You know, Super Bowl Sunday. Would that work if you did it again in August? I mean, maybe it would. Perhaps people are like, yes, it would. And maybe it would. I don't know. We've not done it. So it makes it very hard to say. I don't know what 2 Christmases in a year looks like. I don't know what 2 Super Bowls in a year look like. I don't know what 2 WrestleManias in a year look like. I know that WrestleMania is loved and is very special and it works being once a year. And then we would just be going into the great unknown, wouldn't we? But I think that the UK gets it at some point. Benny said, Daze, you know it's good when Daze puts a stream up last minute. Anything WWE related, he'll stream it. The news is either Saudi Mania or Daze gets offered as WWE's top reporter, but it is the first one more likely. I agree with that. First is more likely. Jack Spurs said, WrestleMania in the Spurs Stadium, says Jack Spurs. Well, it's a beautiful stadium, isn't it? I mean, it's the best stadium in the UK. It's, I think, the most recent as well. But, yeah, facilities and everything, just absolutely amazing. So, yeah, WrestleMania would certainly not look out of place there in the Spurs Stadium. I think if they were to do it, they'd probably go Wembley. I think Wembley is just iconic as a brand itself. You know, I mean, there's not loads of stadiums around the world that I think people just sort of can list off the top of their heads. You know, I mean, like Allegiant and SoFi, I think, are definitely on that list now. MetLife for me as well. But, yeah, I think if you go around the world and think about global stadiums, I think Wembley would be one that a majority of people would name. It's got a very proud history, of course, and I think WWE would probably want to tie into that history. So Spurs Stadium would stand a chance, but I bet it would be Wembley. Going Ghost said, what if the announcement is that you are #1 go for early info? Well, Going Ghost, I am. I mean, we know that. I've got a source in WWE. I don't like to reveal who it is. But I've stepped away from that now. I'm 1 for 1, and I think it's right that I, you know, just take my rightful place in the Journalist Hall of Fame at this point. Rather than outstaying my welcome, you know. I know the right time to leave a party. And for my journalistic ventures, that time feels like it's now. So, yeah, I appreciate the love. I appreciate the support. But it is time for me to hang my Rolodex up and walk away from this game that I love so much. But don't worry, we will still stay streaming, yeah, and we will still keep doing the videos. TR said the big announcement is that AEW have brought WWE. Oh my God, could you imagine? Could you imagine the flipping reaction to that if AEW have purchased WWE? Could you imagine the reaction to that? Oh my God, I don't even know how I would react to that. I mean, I think crying would be my first reaction. I feel like there would definitely be tears. I'm not even embarrassed to admit that. I'm pretty sure I would cry. I'm pretty sure I would cry. And they wouldn't be tears of joy. Because then Tony Khan is going to be running WWE, running around, hugging everyone. Do you know what I mean? I don't need that. I don't need that. I don't need that. I mean, like, Nick Khan, Tony Khan, come on. I mean, we don't need to be downgrading like that. So, yeah, for me, that would not be good. Oh, my God. If that was the announcement, I'd just be praying that, you know, I'd be sitting there going, oh, my God, why was it not Saudi Arabia getting WrestleMania? I mean, oh, my God. Why can't Saudi get WrestleMania like we thought? So, yeah. I don't think it is that, though. What if Saudi Mania is the biggest? Oh, well, word on the street is they're going to make it the biggest, yes. I mean, word on the street is that is exactly what they're going to look to do, make it the biggest show they can make it. They bring Goldberg out of retirement. I think that would do it. All the Saudis demand Hogan Andre. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people might not know that, but when we first went over to Saudi Arabia, apparently they were asking for Yokozuna, and they were which is why we ended up giving them a sumo wrestler for the greatest Royal Rumble. They were asking for people that are sadly no longer alive. So there is normally a bit of a joke around the fact that I don't think Saudi Arabia are like really up to speed with their wrestling knowledge. They were asking for people that are sadly no longer with us. But, you know, it's not their fault, is it? They just want to bring various shows. I mean, if you're the guy that's got the purse strings, you are looking to bring in boxing, you're looking to bring in Formula One, you're looking to bring in golf, you're looking to bring in wrestling. Like, I can sort of understand them not having a knowledge of all these things. So wrestling certainly is not an area that they are like really clued up on. Maybe it is now, but not when they first got it. Daze, what do we think about Tyson Mayweather? Are you mad? Said Logan. Am I mad? I'm not mad. I don't care. No. It's to be honest, it's not a fight that I don't even know that I'll watch it. Tyson just looked so bad in his match with Jake Paul. We thought you would get a round or two out of Tyson where he would look good. Genuinely, I think you got half a round, maybe. I think there was a couple of glimpses, and then after that, he just didn't do anything and gassed, and he was done. And then there was all this talk that he had been not well and in the build, and, you know, he was really proud of what he managed to do, and what he managed to do was atrocious. I mean, Tyson is Tyson in name, isn't he? That's it. So him against Mayweather is just a money grab. That is a fight for... I don't even know who that's a fight for, to be honest. That's a fight for them. I don't know. I mean, if you're going to be watching it, God bless you. But I honestly, I mean, I watch some pretty stupid stuff, yeah? I'll be the first to admit that. I mean, I did watch Jake Paul, Mike Tyson, and I deeply regret it. So, no, I ain't mad about it. Give a flip about it. I suppose part of me thinks with that one, I've actually got quite goodwill towards it because I think at least both of those deserve to get paid. I mean, Tyson, when back in the 80s, you know, he was making money, of course, but it was not the kind of money that is in boxing today. Inflation, but also just, you know, fighter purses have gone up and up and up. So I sort of feel like for Tyson, yeah, go get your money. Go get your flipping legends. Go make your money. Mayweather's not hurting for money. He obviously has been active more recently. So he doesn't need it. But Tyson, go get your money. Yeah, I ain't down on him. Sai said, brother, what do we think WWE made Wade Barrett as a commentator and not a wrestler? What would be the reason? Well, he was sort of done with wrestling, wasn't he? I mean, he ends up kind of leaving. I don't even know what year he left. It was well before the pandemic. I want to say it was like 2017-ish, 2018, something like that. And then he was just completely gone. I mean, he was done. WWE moved on. And then he came back in the NWA as a commentator. So NWA Power, Season 1 had Jim Cornette as a commentator. And you might remember there was a line that he said that caused a lot of outrage. And they parted ways with Jim Cornette. And so Jim Cornette was out. They needed a new commentator. And then Wade Barrett was in. And Wade Barrett took over. And I had not seen or heard Wade Barrett as a commentator. That was the first time I'd seen or heard him. And that was around 2021-ish. 2020, 2021. And he was great. He did a brilliant job. And very quickly, I think NXT got him and WWE called him. So genuinely, I think the reason that he's a commentator, not a wrestler, is because he came back as a commentator. They didn't bring him back as Wade Barrett and then they were like, oh, let's put him on commentary. He was doing commentary at NWA Power, was brilliant, and WWE have gone, yes, we'll have that. We'll have him. And so they've brought him back as a commentator. Now, whether they can use him in ring and do a little something with him, yeah, they absolutely could. I find that to be frustrating as well, because I think that Nick Aldis is worthy of a run. I mean, Nick Aldis was brilliant in the NWA. He was having matches against Cody Rhodes for the NWA title. I mean, actually, if you go to the very first All In, that was Cody Rhodes versus Nick Aldis. And it was a brilliant match. And, now you got Nick Aldis just being a general manager. I mean, to my knowledge, he hasn't wrapped up his wrestling career. It's just that the way into WWE was to be a GM. So he took it. But if they turned around and said, right, we're going to use you as a wrestler, I think he'd be thrilled. I'm really not aware of any injury or any problem or anything. I mean, yeah, I think it was just a way in. And the same with Wade's. Wade's way in was a commentator, and he took it. But again, I turned to the ring. In fact, I think he's even spoke about featuring in the Rumble and doing something in the Rumble. But nothing's come of that. Whether he will at some point, I'm not sure. It'd be good if they did. But yeah, I find that a bit frustrating as well. I think the truth is they're focused on young, emerging stars. I think they're trying to find a way of bringing through the next kind of generation. And any gaps on the roster, I think they are taken up with, young talent that kind of come in. Occasionally you might bring back a Rusev or someone like that. But maybe if Wade Barrett was in AEW as a wrestler and then became a free agent, maybe they would have brought him back as a wrestler. But they brought him in as a commentator. Going Go said, I've got a good question. If Saudi Mania ends up being a 10 out of 10 show, do we think that hurts the US market? Because the last Mania here was a 6. No, I don't think it hurts the US market. I don't think it hurts the US market at all. I think they're actually two sort of separate things in a way. In regards to the US market is WWE's most important, right? It's got the most fans. There's 300 odd million in America, and a good chunk of them have had interaction with wrestling at some point, right? And are aware of WWE. Around the world, it varies from country to country. I mean, there are some, loads of fans, say, in India, but I don't know what the average income is in India, and I don't know what kind of ticket prices they would able to be charged in India, I don't know how much they would make from the gate in India, and we know that that is a big motivator for TKO. TKO want to outdo WrestleMania year after year after year. They want it to be getting more and more money, of course. So you've sort of got to have a country that is really passionate and engaged, but also, the population are wealthy so that you can make your merch money and your ticket sales. And to be honest, I don't think you're dealing with a lot of countries on that list. I don't think you're dealing with a lot of countries there. I would even make the argument Saudi Arabia doesn't have the fan base to kind of warrant a WrestleMania. I mean, I think, I don't even know if they've got a stadium, right? I mean, for me, WrestleMania is 80,000. And I think whenever we go to Saudi, we've actually seen attendances kind of really fluctuate. Sometimes they do 20 odd thousand. Sometimes they can do 30 odd. But I mean, 80 is not something we've been seeing from Saudi Arabia. So they would be reliant on people traveling to Saudi Arabia. But that's the whole reason in doing this, right? So I sort of feel like if the show's 10 out of 10, it doesn't make any difference whatsoever. Do you know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, a 10 out of 10 show, brilliant, people enjoyed it, doesn't change the fact that America is the largest fan base. Doesn't change the fact that America is where the majority is home for WWE. It's where the majority of WWE fans are. It's the most important market right now. Whether that changes over time, maybe. I mean, I don't know, fast forward 50 years, where WWE is spending most of its time. I would still think America, But what does 50 years of global expansion look like? What does 50 years of like going to Japan, going to Europe, going to France, going to Saudi, maybe doing India, maybe doing Africa, going to Australia, going to Mexico? What does 50 years of that look like? How's the demographic look then? Where's the majority of your fans then? Where is home? Is Saudi home? I mean, maybe we're looking at Saudi Arabia becoming the new home of WWE. And these things sound crazy to say right now. They sound crazy. But when they opened up their first sort of venue for people to actually visit, like the closest we've ever had to a Hall of Fame, where was it? Saudi Arabia. The WWE experience in Saudi Arabia. I mean, that is a permanent location for WWE fans to visit, and it's in Saudi. And of course, we've been going there every single year. There's an amazing stat that I've got actually, which is from, and this will give you a real perspective, right? This is from WrestleNomics, Brandon Thurston of WrestleNomics. And I'll just show you this because he was like, this might be of use to some people within the next 24 hours. And he showed this graphic. So this graphic right here, 1985 to 2025, right? And also adjusted to 2025 dollars, right? Ticket sales for every WrestleMania. Every WrestleMania ticket sales, 400 million. And you can see all the individual WrestleMania lines, yeah? And together it comes to 400 million. This is how much they have made from Saudi Arabia since 2018, 650 million. And you can see all the individual shows, and each one was $50 million. And they have made $250 million more from the Saudi shows since 2018 than all the ticket sales of WrestleMania combined. That is amazing. That is amazing. I think that is amazing. And they've even said here, look, there's still another 7 events to go. So they're going to make another 350 million. So when all is said and done, they will have made $1 billion from Saudi Arabia. $1 billion. That's how much all those Saudi shows have cost Saudi. $1 billion for all those shows. Each one being 50 million. That was the deal they did. Going all the way back to 2018. So, you know, it only takes a graphic like this for you to understand just how Saudi Arabia is so far ahead when it comes to financial involvement, right? When it comes to like, should Saudi, I mean, like you look at that and it's hard to argue, isn't it? Should Saudi Arabia get WrestleMania? I mean, how many shows have they done? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 13. I might have miscounted, but I've got 13 shows, which sounds about right. Sounds about right. Since 2018, about 13 shows. Sounds about right. So out of 13 shows, 650. Out of 40 shows, 400 million. That's mental. So it's really hard, isn't it? I mean, like, if you've got that as a number and a stat, it's really hard to argue, nah, they shouldn't get it. I mean, you can make an argument, what about America and all this kind of, but at some point, just the sheer amount of money involved makes you go, yeah, okay. Whatever. I get it. Yeah, there we go. I mean, in a graph right there, 40 WrestleManias came to that. 13 Saudi shows comes to that. So if that is what we're dealing with, and again, you can sort of see why London ain't competing. I mean, if they've paid, God only knows what they've paid. Maybe it's just a 50 million. I really don't know. But, you know, again, you can sort of see London is going to be a little bit like, it ain't, I don't think London's going to have 50 million to spend on WrestleMania. So, yes, let's see. WWE are going to buy TNA, says Q Meteor. Well, if it is that, that will be exciting. That would be game changing if they're going to do that. I would like for them to buy TNA, actually. I think that there is a place for TNA in the WWE infrastructure. And if it is that, that's a big announcement. Not the announcement that's expected, though. The announcement that's expected, as we said, is to do with WrestleMania. Right. They are a little bit late at the moment. But I think Shinsuke is on house shows. He's just not being used on TV, says Alex. Okay, what else have we got? David said, breaking news, 2 WrestlePalooza specials will air next week. One on Thursday, the other one on Friday, both on Netflix. Thursday, ESPN2, Friday, ESPN. So, David, thank you. Nathan said, what if it's Triple H and Rock are done with WWE? Well, I don't think WWE would be making a big deal of that like this. I think that would probably be a press release, and I'm not sure they would have all the other wrestlers involved for such an announcement. This one feels, I mean, Triple H has said it's going to be game changing, and I don't think you would be using that if you was about to walk away, right? So I think the tone is completely wrong for something like that. David, shout out to you, David Little, appreciate it. And Do said the announcement is that Daze has brought WWE. It's true. It's true. I managed to find a spare few billion down the back of the sofa. I don't even know how much it would cost, to be honest. I really don't know how much it would cost. I mean, I think, didn't it cost something like 6 billion for TKO? It was something around that ballpark. But, I mean, you're starting to see now, did you see they're going to show the Canelo Crawford prelims on WWE's YouTube channel? So they are not just looking at WWE as WWE, but they're trying to find ways, and we've seen loads of Canelo Crawford adverts. They're trying to find ways of using WWE and UFC as kind of ways of advertising as well. I mean, WWE has got over 100 million, 110 million subscribers. So that's a big, just on YouTube alone, that's a big platform for them to kind of get content out onto. So I don't know, WWE's value is more than just the shows. Like advertising on the YouTube channel and getting messages out and having like the social media accounts, and they're big. WWE's Facebook following, Instagram following, X following, like every platform WWE is on, they have got one of the biggest accounts. So I don't know. I don't know how much it would cost. I don't know how much, because TKO I think see a lot of value in all of that stuff. So don't know. Might take 10 billion now to get WWE off TKO. It's going to cost whatever TKO value it, isn't it? So, but they haven't even started this stupid announcement yet. Where the hell are they? Where the hell are you? So, yeah, we're still waiting at the moment. Perhaps there is no announcement. Perhaps they're trying to figure out an announcement. Perhaps they're like, oh, God, we've told everyone we've got a game-changing announcement and we haven't even got anything to announce. Oh, God. Perhaps Triple H is going to come out and say he really likes Dairy Queen blizzards. And he's like, I just wanted to share that with you. Because I had one when I went to America and I enjoyed them. Listen, I think they're nice. I think they're good. Go said, that was my point. If they put on a banger Saudi show, I think it could alienate the US fan base. They might say, why did they have to go to Saudi to have a banger Mania? No, I don't. I'm struggling with that because WrestleMania 40 was a banger. WrestleMania 39 was a banger. I think that you're looking too, you're looking too small. You need to look bigger picture. Just because this year's Mania didn't deliver, I don't I don't know. I find that I don't see that thought process. Because we've had lots of great WrestleManias in America. And we've had lots of bad WrestleManias in America. So, you know, Saudi Arabia, they are going to spend crazy money on making it the biggest spectacle, getting the most legends and all that sort of stuff, you know. So, I mean, they will go all out to try and make it the biggest deal. But I think it runs the risk of being hollow, as I said earlier. I mean, having legends on the show just for the sake of it without actually integrating them properly and giving them something worthwhile to do, it can just feel like they're there for the sake of being there. So I don't know. Saudi Arabia just sometimes throwing money at stuff doesn't make it the best. Think about PSG, Paris Saint-Germain, for those soccer fans out there. They had like a devastating team of Neymar and Messi, and you know they had Mbappe, and they had this amazing team. Could not win the European Cup for love nor money. Could not win the European Cup. And then they got rid of a lot of those players and started to invest in like some younger emerging talent. Flipping won the European Cup, didn't they? I mean, still spent money, but... So, I don't know, man. Saudi Arabia's throwing a load of cash around. Doesn't mean to me guaranteed that it's going to be a banging show. And listen, every year WWE tried to make it a banging show. There's every chance that, you know, you do Saudi Arabia 10 times and a couple of them are going to stink. A couple of them are going to be bad. It's just the name of the game, innit? Oh my God. 7 minutes in. Am I just missing this or something? The flip's going on. But are they even ready yet? Triple L, people are saying. Triple L? Tribal Chief said, I gotta pop my neck. As long as it's your neck that you're popping, buds. As long as it's your neck. Don't want no Booker T incidents. David said, I love the content. Are the toy hunts coming back? Thanks for the shout out. Are the toy hunts coming back? Yeah, I do need to bring them back. I keep saying it and then not doing it. I need to bring them back. The problem that I kind of have with them is the channel now takes up so much of my time. When I was doing toy hunts on a regular basis, they were kind of a priority. And since like just before the pandemic, and obviously throughout the pandemic, streaming is the priority now. So we talk about wrestling, and we always talk a few hours before Raw, a few hours before SmackDown. Here we go, here we go, here we go, here we go. And so, you know, as a result, it means that it's no longer the priority, unfortunately. So yes, I do need to get back onto it and into it. Okay, let's go, let's go, let's go. Special announcements. We are in Vegas. We are in Vegas. Okay, so they're talking about Canelo and Crawford's.
What's about to happen right here? The incredible Fontainebleau Hotel. It's been a dynamic force since it arrived.
So the Fontainebleau Hotel, they're just using this as a way of flipping showing us Canelo and Crawford. There we go. There it is. WrestleMania 43 in Riyadh. There it is.
And we welcome all of you watching from all over the globe for what is about to be made official as a historic moment in sports entertainment. This is truly one of the great weekends in Vegas in a long time.
So he's talking about how this is one of the truly great weekends in Vegas.
Successful underdog fight night presented by Ring Magazine. It's going to carry into
And we've got the WrestleMania logo. It's To be honest with you, looks very quickly thrown together. I mean, that logo doesn't look like it's had tons of thought to me. In fact, it looks a bit cluttered because you've got a 43 and then under it you've got 2027.
It's what's going to happen there at Allegiant Stadium on Saturday night.
Jesus Christ, they're still talking about Canelo and Crawford. Is this about WrestleMania 43 or is this about Canelo and Crawford? Right, Jim said, look at the cost to host a World Cup or Olympics. WrestleMania is only 2 nights. Saudi has got the money to spend, and they want to be in the spotlight. I agree. Nothing new. Blood Money Mania, said Danielle. You might want to hide the background before the announcements. You might want to hide... Yeah. Yeah, I wonder what they're going to announce. Okay, welcome to the stage, the superstars. Jamie said BS. This is just a Canelo Crawford announcement. Dude, they were about 7-8 minutes late. And then when they did start, they've just spoken about Canelo Crawford for 5 minutes. Now we're bringing out some legends. We're bringing out HBK and The Undertaker.
Also with us today's historic announcement. 2 women who have each main event at WrestleMania.
So we've got Undertaker. We've got Shawn standing around in the background.
Bianca Belair.
Here's Bianca. Her fingers apparently recovered now. So here's Bianca. Here's Charlotte. Are they going to make them stand in the background all throughout? Why are we doing that? Why are we making them stand in the background? Isn't this meant to be the Money Mania? Can't they afford more chairs? What the flip? Okay, we've got Stephanie and we've got Liv. Apparently Liv is still out for a little bit longer. Liv looks great, though. Love that outfit. We've got Logan. Jesus Christ, spot the odd one out. Bianca, Charlotte, Shawn, Undertaker, Liv, Stephanie, Logan. And Seth is there as well. Why are they just standing in the background? The flip? Okay, so Joe said he's been blessed for 25 years to cover mega events in Vegas. Saturday night, flipping Saturday. Might as well play Wickfield. Talking about Saturday night so much. We've witnessed a change. To serve the fans all over the world better than ever. Okay, here's Triple H. Okay, mate. How's this game changing, bud? Do you remember you tweeted it's game changing? It's an incredible day.
1985 WrestleMania has stood as the pinnacle of sports and entertainment and as one of the greatest sports franchises the world has ever seen.
It's one of the greatest sports franchises since 1985.
WrestleMania has grown into a cultural phenomenon.
WrestleMania has grown.
Together from across the globe.
Yeah.
Complete with
Stadiums, arenas, fan events. Premium experiences.
Today, WrestleMania is shown to the world, seen in more than 200 countries.
WrestleMania shown around the world.
Live on ESPN's brand new streaming service.
ESPN.
Internationally, live on Netflix.
Yeah.
On April 18th and 19th of 2026,
18th and 19th, 2026, back in Vegas.
But today, we are here to talk about what's next and the legacy of WrestleMania.
Yeah.
To help us announce this, I want to welcome a dear friend. We are currently in our 8th year of a long-term and fruitful partnership with the general
So Triple H said he's bringing in a friend.
guided by his
It's going to be a Saudi friend.
has seen historic firsts year after year as we work together to collectively reshape what's possible in global entertainment. So please welcome a man who is changing the face of sports and of entertainment. Please welcome my friend and our partner, His Excellency, Turkey Al-Sheikh.
My friend, Turkey Al-Sheikh. I mean, does he get paid for saying that, or? I actually said you as my friend like 3 times, so.
We announced something that takes this partnership to a new level.
Yeah.
On behalf of His Excellency,
Yeah.
on behalf of Nick Khan, WWE president, the driving force on this deal,
Yeah.
I'd like to announce that for the first time ever,
For the first time ever, WrestleMania.
will be held outside of the United States and Canada.
Yeah.
2027,
2027.
proud to announce
Proud to announce.
WrestleMania 43 will take place in Saudi Arabia.
No. You won't believe what Triple H has just said. WrestleMania in Saudi Arabia in 2027. Well, there's no word of 2.
Thanks to our partners at the GEA and Riyadh season, we just could not be more excited.
We couldn't be more excited.
This is an opportunity.
Oh, I'm beside myself.
But I think most people already know that WWE
He's money hungry.
brand that reaches every corner
Oh, no.
and excites fans from everywhere. Thank you very much.
Well, there we go. I mean, there's 4 chairs. What are them for? We got to play musical chairs. There's a flipping 2 Oh, okay. Turkey Al-Sheikh sitting down. Triple H gets to sit down. The other boomers have to stand in the back.
I know he likes that very much.
Undertaker gets a seat.
Next to Triple H, if you
Bianca gets a seat. This is random. What do the others watch? Shawn Michaels, the Heartbreak Kid, just has to stand.
the Tyson Fury Francis Ngannou fight, and you stepped into that magnificent arena there. The reaction was incredible.
The flip's this?
Since you're involved in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, but with good reason. 4 total matches. You were part of history with the first WWE event there. So for an American WWE
I'm shocked. There was no hints this would happen, said Phantom.
himself, what are they in store for? They're, without a doubt, they're in store for the incredible passion. I think WWE fans in general are known for their passion,
WWE fans are known for their passion.
and I think people are going to be blown away at that same passion that the people from Saudi Arabia have. His Excellency has
You're going to be blown away by the passion that the fans in Saudi Arabia. Listen, I got no shade for the fans in Saudi Arabia. They've been great whenever we've gone. WWE fans are WWE fans, but don't paint a picture like I'm going to have my mind blown. I know what they're like. I've been watching shows in Saudi Arabia since 2018. Who's he talking to? Is he talking to someone that's not watched wrestling? You are going to be so impressed with the fans in Saudi Arabia. Yeah, we know.
always expect
We've watched them for years.
WrestleMania are going to be off the chart.
Oh, I just hate the BS. I just flipping hate the BS. I hate it.
Matches in the Kingdom.
Why can't they just come out and go, they've got so much money. They've got so much, and I know this isn't ideal, but here's a graph that shows how much WrestleMania has made from tickets and how much Saudi have paid us over the last, 7 years. Yeah, do you get it now? Yeah? Any other questions, right? And then we can just go about our business.
History that's not just important for little girls and women to see, but for little boys and men in the whole world to see. And every time we go to Saudi Arabia, I see it evolve more more and more what is
I can't tell, you know, if this is brilliant or stupid. I can't tell if this is the exact kind of press conference they should do, or if this is really insulting. I don't know.
battle royal.
I don't know. To the casual fan, like my cousin, who doesn't really watch wrestling that much, but will check in every now and again, he might watch this and go, "Oh, that's exciting. And this might work." But for any fan that's got any idea of like WWE, like I'd imagine a lot of people are just sat here going, "What's this nonsense? And why has Shawn Michaels not got a chair? And why's Bianca get a chair?" I mean, I'm not against Bianca getting a chair. It probably would have been a bad look if all the guys had a chair and the women had to stand at the back. I get that. From a PR point of view, that would have been a nightmare. But does she deserve a chair more than Shawn Michaels? Why is it not a bigger stage? Get more chairs. I mean, Jesus Christ, if this is what the press conference is like, you want me to get excited for WrestleMania? You've only got 4 chairs. Partnership. What we've experienced when we've been there. Oh, he's had a lovely time. Oh, God, he's never had room service like it. It's the best room service he's ever had. Sorry, families. But it's not about you anymore, yeah? It's about Triple H having a lovely time. This one doesn't happen without His Excellency. And it doesn't happen without the fans.
Without the fans in Riyadh, without the fans in Jeddah that have shown up time after time, that have gotten louder and louder every single time we have been there, that have...
There is, I was going to say BS, but there is actually some truth to that. You couldn't do this if there wasn't a fan base there. There is. There is, and the fans do turn out. I don't think they're going to turn out in stadium numbers. So, I mean, it is true, you do need the fans, but let's not make out that we're going for the fans. Let's not make out that these fans are so special that we've given them WrestleMania, because that is pretty insulting to everyone.
It's an incredible opportunity for us to showcase what we do in a location that has shown significantly time over time that Saudi Arabia
It is what it is. Daze, do you know that I want... Well, what I want at WrestleMania 43, I want for the women to be able to wear what they want and not have to cover up. It's an interesting topic, that, because obviously that's a cultural thing. That's part of their like religion and culture. So I struggle with that one. I don't know the right answer on that one. I mean, I feel like women should wear what they want to wear. But that's because I'm from a culture where women can wear what they want to wear. Whereas over there is a culture that is more restrictive. So, I don't know. That is a barrier for a lot of people. That is a reason why people are like... Another reason why people are against Saudi Arabia getting it. I don't know, there's different cultures around the world, isn't there? I mean, there is a big argument online over that with people saying you should respect other cultures. That's their culture. You should respect it.
First of all, I want to thank
Here he is.
Crown Prince who supported us and Gia
Turkey Yalla Sheikh.
do anything. And with his support, especially also for WWE, this is what happened in our country. And before 8 years ago, I meet my father, Vince McMahon, and Triple H in my home when I was the Minister of Sport in my country.
I met my father, Vince McMahon.
Let's go and have changing to the future doing a big project together.
Let's do a big project together.
Now we delivered some of what we say. Before couples of years, my close friends, Nick Khan, became the president of WWE.
This is so dull. This could have been an email.
We are saying to him that you are continuing the legacy of Vince McMahon and you delivered for us a very big project.
You have continued the legacy of Vince McMahon. There's a line you don't want to hear.
I see Vegas,
What legacy?
WrestleMania in Vegas,
What legacy are you talking about?
bringing 200,000 people,
Good legacy or bad legacy?
$1.5 billion for the city. This is very important for us. For the first time in our region, the big event in the history of entertainment is in our city, in our country, and this is very big.
This is very big for us.
For those of us sitting back here stateside and wondering the reaction back home to this news, what does it mean for those back home?
What does it mean for those back home?
Big announcement: WrestleMania is coming their way.
Why does Shawn Michaels have to stand?
Something in the social media for 2 seconds.
These clowns can't even get him a chair. I can't stop thinking about it.
Official 2027 WrestleMania 43.
Well, that was dull.
Beyond North America, and
That could have been an email and I could have stayed in bed.
far before that, Royal Rumble will be in
Oh yeah, they get the Rumble as well next year.
2026. We also want to remind everybody of everything that's coming your way this weekend.
We also want to remind you of everything else that's coming this weekend. BDJ said, I wouldn't have minded if France or the UK had got WrestleMania first. But for Saudi to get it first is a disgrace, said BDJ. Well, as someone in the UK, can I just say thank you for that? WrestleMania is something that we would absolutely love. And yeah, Europe is obviously massively engaged with the WWE promotion and product, and I think that yeah, we would have loved it. But I mean, the truth is, you've got to bid big now. If anyone wants it, if America wants it, you've got to bid big. So I don't know. I mean, honestly, I think the amount of places that could actually bid for WrestleMania now is getting smaller and smaller and smaller. I mean, we might just be looking at Vegas, New Orleans, Florida, New York. LA could absolutely do it, of course, but I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure really where else is going to be able to kind of put together a bid or even, want to. Because, again, everyone's got their priorities. And I think you've really got to be a place like Florida, like Vegas, that kind of really puts a price on tourism and wanting tourism. So, yeah, and now, listen, as I said before, Saudi Arabia have got it for 2027. So Saudi Arabia have got it for 2027. What stops them getting it in 2028, 2029, 30, 31, 32? I mean, if Saudi Arabia are going to keep outbidding people, how are WWE going to turn that down? I mean, this is WrestleMania in 2027. That's the announcement. But what does this become? Where is this leading? What is this going to be going forwards? So I think there is some concern there with that. I think that potentially this opens the door for there to be real change. I never heard anything game-changing from Triple H other than we're taking WrestleMania out of the United States for the first time. That's the only thing I heard. Out of North America for the first time. Nothing that was said there got me excited. Nothing that was said there. It all felt like marketing spiel. It all felt like a press release. It all felt like the kind of thing that the average fan, regular fan, would not care about or engage with. Obviously, it's news that you need to know, and it has now been confirmed. But I I don't know, man. I don't know about you, but I couldn't find a positive spin there on any. There's nothing they've said there that's got me like, okay, right, well, at least they've said this, you know? The only thing is, we know that Saudi have got money, they're going to spend money, and we know that they want to put on like the biggest show possible. That's it. It's the only positive I can give you, is that I think they're going to go all out to get The Rock, to get Stone Cold. You know, there's rumors today that Rock against Cody or Rock Roman is the main event they want. So I've no doubt they're going to go as big as they absolutely possibly can to make it the biggest WrestleMania ever. So, I mean, it'll be good in that regards. But, I mean, WrestleMania 40 was amazing. That wasn't in Saudi Arabia. So, yeah. Don't know. Thoughts? What's your thoughts? You know my thoughts. What's your thoughts? Masterback said, Vince McMahon has got a new son. I know, yeah. He called him his dad, didn't he? What was that about? My dad, my father, Vince McMahon, came to visit in 2018. I'm like, what? I mean, I know he's been getting around, but I didn't realize he had a Saudi Arabian son. That might even be surprising to Vince, to be honest. Niall said, probably why they did this without a crowd, because of the booze. Well, yeah, I mean, it's a hard sell in it to an American crowd. I mean, if you had people actually in that room that would be Americans, because I don't know how many Saudi Arabians are in Vegas right now. But, yeah, who are you going to invite in? It's going to be Americans, isn't it, that are going to be coming in to that. I mean, what are they going to do? So just applaud? I don't know. Politely sit there and go, oh, well, that's news, isn't it? That appears to be news. I've just been told some news. I mean, oh, yeah, I don't know what else they would do, to be honest. I can't imagine they'd be like, yeah! Woo! Saudi, 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 Saudi. I mean, look, I'm saying all this, but if the Saudi Arabians would like someone to do an official watch-along for their channel, yeah, this guy right here, I will sell my own mother, right? I will sell every member of my family for your money, right? So don't think that I'm above money. Don't think I'm above being bought, right? So if anyone's watching, right, I can turn this opinion around very quickly, yeah? I can be on board, right? Right now, not a massive fan, but, you know, that can change. I can find a way of making it positive, yeah? I like the colour green, right? Saudi Arabia's quite green. Seems to be, it's their flag. That's good. Same colour as money, if you think about it. Makes sense, doesn't it? What colour flag are they going to have? Flipping green. And they've got it, so, yeah. You know, I'm sure I can find positives. But not right now. I don't need to. Aaron said, what's stopping Saudi from just buying TKO in the future? How much is their public wealth fund? Public wealth fund. Saudi Arabia. How much are they dealing with? Hey, public investment fund. Public investment fund. Well, if this number is correct, it's actually not as much as I thought. If that number is correct. On Wikipedia, it says assessments under management, 925 billion. 925 billion. I thought it was in the trillions, to be honest. 925 billion. I mean, how much is TKO going to be? I mean, WWE was, what, 6? UFC, I think, was about 10. Bull riding was probably like $5. And I don't know what else they've got. So probably if you wanted to buy it, ballpark 20 billion, 25, 30, ballpark. I mean, that's the kind of number I'd be thinking if I was going to a meeting. I might be completely out because they might have other things that I don't even know they own, right? But I'm thinking UFC, WWE are the big two. One was 10, one was 6. That gives you 16. Round it up to 20 for a bull riding and anything else they've got. So I'm thinking 20. That might be what they see as like, no, that's how much we've paid for stuff. Like, so maybe it's 30, right? So they've got 925 billion. So could they buy TKO? Yes, is the answer. Why don't they? Maybe they will. I can't say they won't. I mean, they're working with Dana. They keep bringing over UFC. I mean, rather than just constantly spending like money. I mean, if you think about it, it's a bit stupid. They will have spent $1 billion just on having WWE coming over. I don't know how much they've been spending on having UFC come over. I mean, at some point, it probably is more cost effective to just buy them. And if you've got 925 billion, then yeah. TKO are going to have to want to sell, aren't they? They're going to have to want and sell. So, I don't know. When WWE was being sold, there was talk about the Saudis coming in. And actually, a lot of people have wondered if Vince might join up with the Saudis to buy WWE back. And so that's another thing that might happen. It might be that the Saudis don't buy TKO, but they absolutely could purchase WWE if they wanted it. And then, honestly, WrestleMania might just permanently live in Saudi. So I suppose what you've done there, Aaron, is you've made things seem not as bad as we thought, because they could always be worse, couldn't they? Right now, WrestleMania 43 has been announced for Saudi Arabia, right? So that's the announcement. But if Saudis buy WWE, which they absolutely could, as long as TKO want to sell, then flipping WrestleMania could be in Saudi every year. And actually, Saudi would be the home of WWE. I'd imagine a lot of Raws and SmackDowns would take place. They would still take it on the roads. You'd be an idiot to not still, go to America or whatever. But if the Saudis bought WWE, that completely changes the company, doesn't it? Completely changes the company. But the thing is, Saudi Arabia knows it's only got so many fans. You can't keep, using them again and again and again. So you would have to do the bulk of your shows internationally. But yeah, Rumbles, WrestleManias, more Raws and SmackDowns could go to Saudi if Saudi did ever get it. But yeah, I mean, there's no word on that. TKO have got it. There's no word they're going to sell it, but who knows? I don't know that TKO are going to keep WWE for as long as Vince did. TKO might have it 10 years, 20 years, and then, sell it for a profit. So, don't know. Don't know what the future is like for WWE. Just got to take it each day as it comes. Bradley said, so is a UK WrestleMania never happening? Well, I don't think it's going to happen unless there's a big bid. UK have got to put the money up. Simple as that. And I don't think it's a priority. So, listen, this is so simple. If you've got more money than sense and you want to bid for WrestleMania, you can have it. We'll have this thing in Timbuktu. We'll have Triple H come out saying that it's amazing. We're going to new markets. We're reaching out to Timbuktu fans. They're some of the most passionate fans in the world. The people of Timbuktu deserve this. But the bottom line is, it's about how much money you give them. And that's it. If the UK went, here's a shed load of money, then they'll be like, Wembley has always deserved WrestleMania. The UK's got some of the best fans. We're trying to, really capitalize on the growth that we've seen in Europe in recent years. This is so exciting for the blah, blah, blah. You just get a completely different script, don't you? Money. It makes the world go round. And it seems to be the only thing that TKO are interested in. Even Vince was not this bad. That's crazy, isn't it? Do you know, Vince could have had sponsors on the ring mat years ago. This is not a new idea. WCW were doing it in the 90s. Vince and boxing's been doing it forever. And UFC has been doing it forever. So, you know, it's not as if TKO have done something and Vince is at home going, oh my God, I can't believe I never thought of that. But Vince was always very strict on having a nice, clean canvas. In fact, he would even, I don't know if he did it all the time, but certainly for big shows, remove the top layer so you had a fresh one underneath, right? He liked a clean canvas. So we didn't have all these flipping sponsors all over the ring. And then this past week, we've just heard about how Vince purposefully made sure that families could afford to get in. And this is not a Vince McMahon appreciation stream, but it is wild that there are things that Vince was the guy that was so famously motivated by money that in the Firefly Funhouse, there was a Vince puppet that they would feed dollar bills, right? And he'd be like, "Nom, nom, 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 nom," like that, right? That guy. Yeah, the guy that was a ruthless businessman, right? Do whatever he could to try and put people out of business, just get rid of wrestlers whenever, you know, cut them mid-contract, all that sort of stuff. But yet, even in his cold, bitter heart, right, even he could find room for families to be able to afford to go to these shows and ring canvases looking nice and clean and not having blooming Doris's dildos being advertised on them or whatever, right? And so as a result, like, you look at TKO and you go, oh my God, what is this? What is this animal? What is this beast that has now purchased WWE, right? And that, you know, what is this beast? That is also the catchphrase of Doris's dildos, actually. That is their slogan, so it actually ties together really well. Kian said, I would rather watch Jenna Ortega than Mania in Saudi. I can believe that, Kian. I can believe that. Although I think you'd rather watch Jenna Ortega than anything else, to be honest. Simon said, a flight to Saudi is about 100 or 122 pounds. Then you add hotel and tickets. That could be expensive for the UK. Yeah, it could be. I mean, the only thing I would say is that I don't think it's too bad for the UK. I mean, I can't really sit here and make an argument that that's more than going to America. So I don't really look at it from a UK perspective because, you know, every year we've had to travel to, you know, somewhere in America or Canada. And obviously, you know, you ain't getting cheap flights there either, and you're not getting cheap hotels. So, you know, going to Saudi actually might even be a bit cheaper for us in the UK. Might be a bit cheaper for people in Europe, right? So in that regard, I could understand some people sort of celebrating. And make no mistake about it, Saudi are going to want those fans. They're going to want the French. They're going to want people from the UK. They're going to want people from Germany. They're going to want people to travel over to Saudi Arabia, right? I don't think the flight is as long as it would be to LA, for example. No way. I think it's much quicker. I don't even know if the flight is as long as if you was going to Florida, right? So I think from a European perspective, it's actually got some advantage. And maybe that is the silver lining. Perhaps this is I still don't think it is, but perhaps this is like the first WrestleMania that's going to be more affordable for European families. But I don't know. Because God only knows what the ticket prices are going to be. And God only knows how much hotels are going to be. And I still think it's a distance. I mean, fun fact, Saudi Arabia is not in Europe. So, I mean, fun fact, there is going to be travel involved. So, yeah, I don't know. That one's a tricky argument, I think. That's a tricky argument. Because I think European-wise, it's going to be better. But from an American perspective, it's obviously horrific. If you're in America, I mean, it's a hell of a journey to Saudi Arabia. It's a hell of a journey from America. I mean, to the point where I don't even know how many people are going to do it. You've got to be a WWE flipping mentalist with money. I bet green shirt guy goes. I bet he'll still go. He ain't hurting for money, is he? I bet he goes. And maybe Trinidad flag guy will still go. So maybe they'll go, but your average fan, no. Bradley said, I think AIN 2027 are having a big super show experience. I don't know what that means. Think AIN 2027 having a big super show experience. What do you mean? I don't know what that means. If you're talking about WrestleMania in 2027, I think it'll be huge, yeah. Streets are saying that they're going all out for it, so I think it'll be huge. But I don't know if that's the comment you was making. I'm wondering if you're talking about AEW. Could they counter it? I don't think so. I don't think AEW would want to try and counter WrestleMania regardless of where it is in the world. Although, that is interesting. Because if WWE go to Saudi Arabia, there is a lot of fans in America that weekend are not going to be served. I don't think you want to put a show on the exact same time as WrestleMania, though, because people are still going to... That show is going to be stacked. If you're going to do Roman against The Rock, I don't know that you want to buy a ticket to go out that night. Surely you want to stay in and watch that. So, but the Friday night? Or, I don't know, the Monday night? I've got to think that SmackDown and Raw will be in Saudi as well. So that's an interesting thought, actually. About could AEW try to counter-program it, but how? Unless you do something earlier in the day, so maybe you do something at 3 p.m. But then saying that, is WrestleMania not... I don't even know what time WrestleMania will be. What time would WrestleMania be? And how's NXT going to work? I haven't even thought about this. So if it's in Saudi, it's going to be on earlier in the day, isn't it? Because obviously, like, it's going to be lunchtime in America when it's late in Saudi. So what time, if you do NXT before, does that mean that you lot in America have got to be up at like 6 o'clock in the morning to watch NXT? Because normally we do NXT and WrestleMania Day 1 on the same day, don't we? So does that mean that you got to get up super early to watch NXT, which no one's going to do? And then lunchtime will be WrestleMania. Oh, God. I mean, from a streaming point of view, this is going to be horrific, isn't it? It's going to be rubbish. Edward said, I'm not going to lie. That announcement was worse than a Tony Khan announcement. Yeah, sucked. Simon said, if the UK split the cost 4 ways, they could drop 100 million, 25 million each country for England, Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland. If you add Ireland, both Ireland and Northern Ireland, they could split 25 million. I mean, has Wales got 25 million to spend on a wrestling show? I have absolutely no idea. I mean, I think the UK could. I think, like, the UK as a whole could spend 25 million. I don't know that they're spending 100 million. I don't even know that they would have to. I don't even know how much it would cost. I don't know how much Saudi have paid. 50 million for a normal show. Maybe this one was 100 million. But I don't know. What are Wales going to get for 25 million? And have they even got 25 million to spend? Has Northern Ireland got 25 million to spend on a wrestling show? And what would they even get for that money? I mean, I think the joint bid thing is interesting because maybe you could say, well, they would get a Raw, but I don't know. Is Wales going to bid 25 million for a Raw? What do Wales get? They get Welsh people the ability to go to a WrestleMania if they want to. Is that worth 25 million to Wales? I don't think it is. Don't think it is. And Northern Ireland, what are they getting? They're getting for 25 million. Some people in Northern Ireland can go to the wrestling and Wembley if they want to. How's that going to boost the local economy and get the 25 million back? The reason why you bid the money so that you get the show. And then the show helps the local economy. So why would Wales bid 25 million if there's no show to bring money back in? Why would Northern Ireland do that? Why would Scotland do that? You'd have to give them a Raw or a SmackDown, but they ain't going to get 25 million back from a Raw or a SmackDown. So I think from a numbers point of view, I'm kind of left scratching my head on that. I mean, I agree. If you give them a Raw, give them a SmackDown, and they contribute something, then, you know, you can sort of make, you know, an argument. But I'm struggling with, like, oh, here's 25 million. Because what do they get for that? But Toby said, how does the culture get better if you don't try and change it? I think the sports washing is raw. See the positives and not the negatives, says Toby. Well, I mean, the negatives are that people in America can't go and people in Canada can't go, and that people in Saudi Arabia, it doesn't feel like there's a sizable number for WrestleMania, right? So it doesn't feel like there's enough people there to warrant a WrestleMania. So they're going to have to rely on people traveling from Europe, which is fine. That's fine, because there could be people that travel from Europe, and maybe some of those people have not been to a WrestleMania before, right? So I wouldn't sit here and say there's no positives. I wouldn't sit here and say that, you know, there's nothing that's going to come out of this that's good. I mean, I also think Saudi Arabia have got a lot of money, and they are going to go all out to try and make this the biggest WrestleMania of all time. Yeah. So, you know, Rock, Roman, all that sort of stuff. Changing culture? Maybe. I don't know. I mean, I've heard a lot of stuff about Saudi Arabia that's actually sounding like it's going in reverse. So I think I'm not educated enough to have that conversation without being disrespectful. I don't know who here would be educated enough to have that conversation, because there's a lot that goes on with Saudi Arabia and women's rights that aren't always moving forwards. Like, women's rights are also going backwards in places in Saudi Arabia. So it's one of those where I don't know that changing the culture is a conversation I feel confident in having, because I don't know that I could make any kind of educated conversation on it. I don't know enough about it. I think it's a myth to point that women weren't wrestling and now they're wrestling as being like some sort of landmark thing, when there's other more basic rights that are not available to women. Look at them driving, for example. I believe them having the ability to drive was given and then taken away, and then I think they got it back again. But there's a constant fight with just, you know, human rights and things like that. So I don't know, man. When it comes to the culture side, it's not a side that I'm confident in having. So I'm going to leave that to one side. I certainly don't know what difference WrestleMania is going to make, right? In regards to European fans having the ability to go, I think there's a conversation to be had there. I think that actually might be a bit of a positive, that it might be a bit closer and a bit more affordable. Numbers wise, I don't know until we actually get closer to the event. I don't know what ticket sales are going to be like, or ticket prices. I don't know what hotel prices are going to be like. So, but what I do know is the only reason we're doing this is money. I know that. I know that the fan base in Saudi is. I know we don't have a proud history in Saudi that, like, before 2018. I know that some of those shows were kind of varied in attendance over the years. I know that it's not that attendance has been going up and up and up and up and up. I know there's not 80,000 fans in Saudi ready to fill a stadium. So I know I know that WWE didn't want it in 2027. They wanted it in 2028. I mean, it's one of those where if you want to look at the positives because you just don't want to have negative conversations, I can understand that. I do actually understand that. Because, you know, oh man, I you know, work's hard, life's hard, things are going on. I don't want to have negative conversations about wrestling as well. But I think it's a difficult one to just ignore all the negatives for this, you know? I think it's a difficult one to just focus on positives when I think there are so many glaring negatives to this. And it is dirty. It is dirty. The only reason we're doing it is money. And I know that that's a big factor as to why we do a lot of things, right? But this one feels especially dirty. I don't think you're going to see many cartwheels on X for this. I don't think you're going to see many excited fans in the fan base for this. I think they're going to have to work quite hard to get the fans kind of engaged with this. I think they will do that work. I would not be surprised if people are not really quite excited for this show by the time we get to it. Obviously, we're so far removed from it right now that I can understand people not being that excited. But I think, you know, the word is they want to do Rock Cody, they want to do Rock Roman. They've got big plans to try and bring people out of retirement. You've just seen Shawn and Undertaker on the stage. It's very clear that legends are going to play a part in this. And so, you know, I think they'll put on the biggest show possible. So positives can be found, but there's too many negatives to just ignore. So, yeah, that's my thoughts on it. Benny says, what are the predictions for matches? Oh, I think that's too far down the road, to be honest. I think that's too far down the road. I think we've had the news today. I'm sure there's other people that will do videos based on that. Roman Rock has been rumoured and Rock Cody has been rumoured. But, I mean, just think about the biggest matches you could possibly do. Think about the biggest stars in the biggest matches. I think they are, you know, listen, Saudi would pay to have Undertaker come back. But physically, I don't know that Undertaker could do it, right? But if they offer him a load of money, it might make him think. And he's got a couple of, like, well, not even quite a couple of years, but he's got time to have whatever surgeries he needs to have. But even with whatever surgeries, I don't know, his body might be done. You could bolt things on the Undertaker. I've got no idea that it's going to actually mean that he can do a match. Same with Shawn as well. I mean, I've seen footage of Shawn having to get up in the morning and do all these elaborate stretches just so that he can function. He's had to have knee replacements, hip replacements, all this kind of stuff. Like, a lot of these wrestlers are really broken down from the past. And even money is not going to be able to get them back in the ring. So, I mean, I think if Stone Cold can wrestle another match, they'll do whatever they can to get another Stone Cold match. Rock, keep your schedule free, right? I know you like doing movies, but we're going to give you even more money than that, right? So they're going to do whatever they can to try and get the biggest stars back possible. So, yeah, you can get excited about making a bit of a dream card if you want. I'm not personally quite at that stage yet. I'm still kind of seeing what the reaction is. And I suppose just trying to figure out, you know, little things like what does it mean for NXT? What's it going to mean for those indie shows as well that rely on WrestleMania? I think that's a great shout. Those indie shows are not going to be around, are they? I wouldn't think so. I wouldn't think a load of indie wrestlers are going to be able to buy a ticket and go to Saudi Arabia. And perform for who? For Saudi fans that don't even know their products. I mean, I have no idea if Saudi fans even watch GCW or even know that it exists. So you'd have to rely on the European fans that are traveling, and that's going to be in smaller numbers. So even if you do make the trip to Saudi Arabia, what's your gate going to be like? How many people are you going to be able to attract? I just don't know, man. I don't know. I think on that side, there's, you know, I could imagine a lot of indie promotions being a bit worried about that. Equally, though, this is something that was going to happen eventually. We was going to leave North America with WrestleMania eventually. It's just, is it too soon? Is now the right time? We don't quite know. Bradley said, what I meant was GCW, okay, the collective does lots of independents. I think AEW All In would pick it up in 2027. I doubt they'll all go to Saudi. Okay, well, that actually ties in a little bit with what we were talking about. So, yeah, I don't think that all those indie promotions would travel. I think some might. And is there an opportunity for AEW? I mean, if WrestleMania ends at 7, in America because it starts earlier, right? I mean, there's every chance WrestleMania starts at 5 and is done by 8, right? Or it could be done by 9 or something like that, right? I don't know time-wise how it's going to work, but I know whenever we've done a Saudi show, it's always middle of the day here in like the UK. And I think even earlier in America. So, I mean, what's the time difference? Let's have a look. Time difference between Riyadh and Eastern Time, United States. 8 p.m. in Riyadh is 1 p.m. Eastern. There's 7 hours difference. 7 hours. So if you start WrestleMania at 7 in Riyadh, it will be 12 in America. So if it goes on till just after 10 o'clock at night, let's say it starts at 7, ends at 11, right? That seems fair. Starts at 7, ends at 11 in Riyadh. That means that it will start at 12 and it will end at 4. Now, if you're AEW, do you look at running a show on the Saturday night at 7 in America? And what does WWE do about that? Because I can't imagine WWE are just going to leave America open for AEW. That's a really interesting thought, though. So, Bradley, shout out to you. That's a really interesting thought. Because we know that AEW have been counter-programmed by WWE. I can't see that changing. And so are they really just going to leave America open? Completely unopposed? Or does it not make sense for WWE to run another show after Mania in America? I don't know. Perhaps you have to run NXT in America. Perhaps you have to run NXT in America because you can't do it earlier. But then if you've traveled all the way to Saudi and you don't get to watch NXT, are you going to feel a bit cheated? Because that's normally part of the weekend, isn't it? But equally, can WWE afford to just let AEW run a show? And would NXT be a good counter anyway? Trying to go up against an All-In or something. I don't know, so that's an interesting one, that. That's where my head's at. I'm more into them conversations than what do we think the match card's going to be. Uncle Revel said, Mania in my backyard. I still couldn't afford it. I get not liking it, but some are hating it because of race, says Batman Big Fan. Oh, no, that's not me. I ain't got an issue with that. That doesn't bother me. I don't care about that. I think that, and I've made that clear, and I hope I've been clear, that the Saudi fans are WWE fans. And actually, whenever we've gone, they've been excellent. So I am not down on the Saudi fans, those that are really into WWE, getting WrestleMania, because they're just fans like you and me that want WrestleMania, and they've got it, right? The thing I question is, how many are there? And, you know, were there other places that you could say are, I don't want to say more deserving, but, you know, if we were going to go international, I think it is a shame that it's not the UK or it's not Europe. I mean, even if they'd put it in France, you know, you could understand them wanting to go to Europe. I think the hate comes from the fact that we know Saudi have jumped the queue because of money. And I think that's where there's an issue. The other issue as well is obviously there's questions around the human rights. That is not something I'm going to focus on because we watch the Saudi shows. We've had those conversations. It seems a little bit hypocritical now to kind of bring that up about WrestleMania when, you know, we watch the Saudi shows every year anyway, right? They're conversations we've had already. Maybe they're conversations for other people that have not had those conversations, but we've had those conversations. So for me, that's not really a factor. Race is certainly not a factor. It just comes down to the fact that we're leaving North America for the first time. I don't know if that's not too early. I feel it is. I feel like the Saudi numbers aren't where they need to be or should be. For a WrestleMania, I think the queue has been jumped because of money. That feels a bit dirty to me. But as has been pointed out, you know, there are some positives there as well. I think they'll make it the biggest show possible, and I think it might be a bit easier for certain people around that part of the world to actually go to the show. So it's not all negative. There are some positives. But, yeah, I can understand the reaction, the initial reaction, the thoughts online being, that's not what I was looking for. But it's what we expected anyway, so I don't know that too many people will be surprised. Mr. B said, are Saudi fans going to pay the same price for tickets? Honestly, I don't know. I don't know how much the average ticket price is for the Saudi shows, so I can't really answer that one. I don't know how much the Saudi fans pay to go to Crown Jewel, Super Showdown, and things along those lines. So, I'm sure all of this will come out. You know, I'm sure WrestleNomics will do some work on it. I'm sure that Cultaholic will do a video on it. What Culture will, and Wrestle Talk. And I mean, you'll have this content absolutely everywhere. Right now, it's been announced. The initial reaction is going to be out there. And then it's going to be a case of, you know, digging into some of the details on it. So, yeah, this will all come out now. All of that kind of information will come out. I really don't know. I mean, tickets prices might be a bit cheaper. I mean, Saudi Arabia don't need to worry about getting their money back. That what they want is they just want you to go. So actually, Saudi Arabia might make the ticket prices cheaper than what they would be in America, as a way of going, we know you've got to pay for a flight, so let's help you out, because we don't need to worry about the money. We just want you to come over because we want to establish ourselves as a real global tourism destination. And the only way we can do that is by you coming over and giving us a chance. It's more important that we get you to just get on a plane than worry about trying to get back the whatever money they've spent on this thing, you know. It is crazy, though, because if they've spent 100 million and they've only got 900... Well, I mean, if they've spent 100 million and they've got 900 billion, I mean, they've got plenty of money, haven't they? But it is a lot to spend on a show. One show. It is a lot to spend. When you think that they've spent $1 billion anyway on the other shows, it is a lot of money to spend. And it does make me worried about how would anyone be able to match that, you know? How would Vegas match that going forwards? This might not be the only Saudi WrestleMania. Botched Eye Surgery said, can we trade? TKO can have the next Rugby World Cup and we have WrestleMania in our brand new stadium in Christchurch. Sounds like a great plan to me, buds. Sounds like a great plan. Daze, it's worrying knowing that we could have multiple WrestleManias in Saudi, because we're already now seeing that in Vegas. Yes, that is one of the other concerns. This could be the start of things. Daniel said, did they say if it's one night or 2 nights? They didn't, but I mean, WrestleMania just is 2 nights now. 2 nights for 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42. They didn't announce it as 2 nights, but to be honest, at this point, it would be a bigger thing for it to go back to 1. So, yeah, 2 nights is sort of the given, I think. I would be shocked if it was anything else. Tickets would have to be like $50 or less to justify paying like $1,500 to fly there, said Just Jess. Is that how much it is? I don't know how much it is. Obviously, it depends where you're traveling from. But if it is going to be around $1,500, I mean, I think that is just going to result in people not going, isn't it? And then you're going to have to rely on the Europeans going. I mean, look, you'll fill half... Well, I don't even know where they're running it. They haven't even announced an arena or a stadium. I mean, the Saudi fans could fill it if it's like 40,000. But if you're going to run something bigger, you're going to need some support. That's crazy as well. I mean, think about that. Think about if they run a 40,000 and the Saudi fans go, and then like there's hardly any Americans or Europeans, and it is just all the Saudi fans, and they've got it because of the money that's been spent. I mean, a fan is a fan. I'm not changing my mind on that. A fan is a fan, but this is where the money gets dirty, isn't it? Roxanne says, Daze, making non-Muslim women cover up isn't Islamic nor Arabic culture. Saudi Arabia is controlling and it is corrupt. Yeah, well, is it? I don't know enough about it. I mean, surely, isn't it to do with, and this is where I could be really just naive, so feel free to correct me, but is women covering up not something to do with them hiding their looks from the male population? I was under the impression that's why they did it, was to kind of reduce temptation and things along those lines, you know? So if you have got male Muslims in Saudi Arabia, then people that come over, if the requirement, and I don't even know that it is the requirement, but if the requirement is that women have to cover up, would that not be because of the culture? Would that not be so that, you know, the men are not kind of exposed to temptation and things like that? I don't know. This is where it gets a bit tricky for me, because I don't know. I mean, I'm not a religious person, right? I don't really follow religion. So I certainly don't follow like the Muslim laws and rules and everything. It's not my specialist subject. I did not start this channel claiming to be knowledgeable about like faith and stuff like that. So I am quite happy to go, don't know. The men and women have to sit opposite from each other, says Kevin. Who cares about the women covering up, says Brony. If you want to see ass and go watch porn. Al Nasir Stadium holds 25,000. The King Fahd Stadium has got 75,000. I wonder which route they choose. Well, that's interesting that they do have a 75,000 stadium. Colo, I didn't know that. So I think, I would imagine you go big. I'd imagine you go 75,000. I mean, any wrestling fan that's close would surely be interested in going. I think they could sell half that comfortable. And then it's really, who else can you attract? And if you're going to have monster main event matches and even bring people out of retirement, then, you know, I think you swing for the fences. If you go 25,000, I think you can fill that quite comfortably with just Saudi Arabian WWE fans. I would imagine they would want to attract more. I mean, listen, if AEW are going to run one of their first shows in the UK at Wembley Stadium, right, and try and sell out flipping 80-odd thousand, I've got to think WWE and Saudi Arabia will look at the larger stadium and go, let's go for it. Yeah. I think it'd be a shame if they just limited themselves to 25,000. Like, swing big, go for the fences. Toby said, I'm totally not on it, but people need to just stay cool. Some will say that Saudi is one of the safest places to go out in. Good, bad, it's tricky. Tony said, women's wrestlers and staff always have to cover up. Women couldn't go to the events before. They have changed that. They can buy, but they need a male escort. Is that still in place? Because that was true originally, but I don't know if that's still in place now. About male escorts. Again, this is the stuff that I will hold my hands up and say in, I don't know. I don't want to sit here and spread any false information or say anything that's incorrect, which is why I've not touched on the cultural stuff. I haven't touched on that. I know that is a big problem for a lot of people out there. I know that is one of the biggest reasons, if not the biggest reason, as to why people are not happy about this. But, you know, for me, I've took a different perspective, which is, you know, the largest fan base, the fan base that really got WWE to where it is in America and Canada, and a lot of those people are not going to be able to go. A large percentage of our audience, our community, is in America, in Canada, and I'm sure many of you are disappointed as a result, right? And so that's the angle I've kind of come from. And also the fact that, I don't think it's unfair to say that money has led to Saudi Arabia jumping the queue, right? In regards to where does Mania go next. If we were to write down cities and places that Mania should go to, I don't know at what point we would have got to Riyadh. I don't know at what point we would have got to Saudi Arabia, but they've managed to get themselves, actually get a Mania because of the money that they've got and are willing to spend, yeah? So that feels dirty as well, right? I mean, it's business, and business is dirty, but it's still dirty. So those are the angles I've come from. I'm not looking at it from a women's rights point of view or anything like that at this stage. Maybe we will eventually, but I think that is information I definitely want to read up on. That is definitely stuff that I want to know, because I know there has been changes in Saudi Arabia. Some positive, some not so. I don't know where we are with the escort situation. I know that was true at the start. Oliver said, I know that we're talking about Mania 43, but I'm worried for the women's Rumble next year in Saudi because they have to wear bodysuits. Why is that a problem? Because of like overheating, maybe. I think from a comfort point of view, I mean, I don't think there's any health issue. I don't see any issue there. To be honest with you, I actually quite like the fact they have to change their ring gear. I think a lot of the women do just rely on wearing the least amount of stuff possible. And I actually think where they've got to kind of cover up a bit more, I think they can get a bit creative with their ring gear. I'm not saying that it should happen, right? I don't want to have a message go out there of, oh, did you hear Wrestling Daze was like really into the fact that the women have to cover up? No, that's not what Wrestling Daze said. What Wrestling Daze said was that I think actually it can lead to some creativity in regards to the ring gear that I think at times is missing, because I don't think they worry so much about making their ring gear look appealing and, you know, interesting. I think some of the women just try and get it as small as they possibly can. So I've actually seen some ring gears from Saudi Arabia that I've been like, oh, that looks pretty cool, actually. I actually think that's a good look. I actually think that looks quite smart. So sometimes being forced to kind of change your presentation is not necessarily a bad thing. The only thing I would say about it is that it's a shame that it is forced. It is a shame that it is kind of against their will, if you will, right? Of course. I'm not here for that. And I think as well, like, it is a shame that I have heard that, like, because of the heat at times, that it can get quite sweaty and uncomfortable for the women. And I think that's a massive shame as well. Like, I'm not crazy about that. You know, bottom line is, I think people should wear what they want to wear. I mean, that's what I believe. I do think, though, there is a cultural issue. People are telling me in the chat that apparently non-Muslims shouldn't have to. I don't know. All I know is that they are required to. That is a requirement of the country. And so, I don't know. I mean, it's one of those. I mean, do you blame Saudi or do you blame WWE? Because, to be honest, if WWE go to Saudi, they are agreeing to those rules, aren't they? WWE are the ones that are taking the money. And then Saudi are like, oh, we don't want the women to be like, we want the women covered. And WWE are the ones going, okay. So I think if you're going to throw shade at Saudi, you have to throw shade at WWE. You have to. Because, you know, Saudi might have the rules, but it's WWE that's agreeing to them. And they're agreeing to them because of money. So I don't think you can just point the finger at Saudi Arabia. WWE is as much to blame on this. So, and, you know, it is honestly a shame that the women are, like, made to do that. I don't like that. I do think like that it can sometimes lead to some interesting ring gear, right? I'm not walking back on my comment. And I do think sometimes that ring gear looks better, honestly. But yeah, no one wants to see anyone having to be forced into wearing stuff that maybe they're not comfortable with. And as we said, I've also heard that like because of the heat and everything, that it can make them sweat and they can get a bit uncomfortable. And then you just see the guys walking around with like next to nothing on. And you go, this doesn't feel right, does it? But, you know, we have been talking about that since, 2018? This is not a new conversation for us. Daze, everything about TKO is sickening, said Big Time. There's so much advertising and sponsorship, pricing out fans with insane prices, paying multiple streaming services, and selling Mania to Saudi. It's all a bit depressing, said Big Time. Keaton said, one of the good things is that the start time will be in the UK evening time. Other than that, I can't see any positives, says Keaton. Josh said, I've been censored. I have no opinion. Do you take your shoes off when entering a person's house? Do I? I would ask them. Yes. The only thing I would say about that, though, is you are right from a cultural point of view. I mean, we've made that argument. I've said, like, it's their culture, and WWE have got to share as much in that blame if you're upset about it, right? But I think there is also a difference between taking your shoes off in someone's house and which I would imagine everyone would be obliged to do. I don't think they would only make certain gender take their shoes off, right? I'd imagine if you're taking your shoes off, it's probably so you don't step mud in the house from outside. Whereas here, women are treated different. So you can use the shoes off in a house situation, but how many people's houses do you go around where it's only the women that have to take their shoes off, not the women and the men? So I would argue there is a little difference there with that. But again, it is their culture. It is what the rules of their country are. And so WWE has to share in the blame on that because you're taking the money and agreeing to those rules. In Thailand, it would be for the Buddhist temples, said Kevin. Iron Sentinel said it just makes sense to take your shoes off. WrestleMania 42, Madison Square Garden. No, 42 next year in Las Vegas. The First 48 Gaming said reports are that The Rock is in negotiations to main event WrestleMania 43, and he would be the highest paid wrestler for an event ever. Yes. Little Ray said, Daze, apparently Saudi Arabia are planning to build the King Salman for 2029. That would be a 92,000 seater. I think they could go and get a 100,000 in 2 weeks. Well, if they do get a 92,000 seater stadium built, who thinks that WrestleMania might end up there in the future as well? So again, that is another of the concerns, is that this opens the door not just for, well done, here's WrestleMania in 2027, but, you know, do we go there every year? Do we go there every other year? Do we go there every 3 years? Like, do you know what I mean? It's Kaz said, what about the Hall of Fame? Well, I'd imagine that'll be over there. Don't see that as a issue. I think WWE World would be over there. Hall of Fame will be over there. I mean, all you got to do is fly the people being inducted over and their family. I don't think that's a big expenditure. So I would imagine that they would travel over. I mean, I suppose you would probably get a couple of people. So if you're being inducted, you could probably have like a couple of people go. So I suppose when it comes to the Hall of Fame, if you are doing it in America and you have like 20 odd friends and family go, I don't know that that's going to be possible. But I would imagine that they will make sure that you can have a couple of people there. So might suck in that regard. But actual Hall of Fame, I mean, if you're getting WrestleMania, I've got to think you're getting the full experience. I mean, if you're a fan that's going to go to WrestleMania, you're going to want Hall of Fame, you're going to want WWE World, you're going to want both nights, you're going to want NXT. I mean, you're going to want everything. You're going to want the full shebang. So I've got to think that, I think everything goes. I think the only thing I'm left confused with is what happens in America, because if WrestleMania and everything, if the show goes all to Saudi and America's just left with nothing, AEW will step in, I'm sure of it. And WWE are not going to want that. There is no way they are going to want that. So I've got to think they would put something up in America to rival AEW. But I would imagine if you're buying a ticket to go to WrestleMania, you're going to want the full experience, aren't you? And that is World, Hall of Fame, 2 nights, NXT, it's everything. So I've got to think everything's involved. While B said, I think the UK should have been first. Well, that would have been nice, but maybe we've only got ourselves to blame. Yeah, we just didn't have enough money. Right, I think we're done there. We're going to wrap it up because we're back in an hour and a half. Probably going to go grab something to eat, do a bit of work, and then, of course, we're back. And then when we're back with flipping long stream because we've got SmackDown, and then we go straight into Worlds Collide. So, yeah, this was just a taster. This was just a little stream just for us to find out what this announcement was going to be. Obviously, we found out the announcement. It was what we thought. We have given our initial reaction. Now let's see, as time goes by, kind of how the dust settles. I don't think the dust will settle for a little while. It's not like we're going to come back in an hour and a half with a completely new perspective. But, yeah, go away, see what others are saying, have a little think about it. We'll be back in an hour and a half as we build our way towards SmackDown. So, right, thanks for watching. Appreciate it as always. And I will see you in a bit for SmackDown and